Hey, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Stream On. I'm Jim Williams, your host, and today we have a very interesting story for you. It's about a gentleman who made a name for himself in the 2000 Olympics. Now, his name is Rulon Gardner, and he is best known for his huge upset in winning the gold medal in 2000 at the Olympics in Sydney. Now, that would be a story into itself, but the trials and tribulations of Rulon Gardner, what happened to his life after that sudden burst of celebrity, is really where the story begins. And our guest today is the aforementioned Rulon Gardner. He is the subject of an Olympic Channel documentary. It's an outstanding one, highly recommended. It's called Rulon Gardner Won't Die. And Rulon, my friend, you have quite the story to tell. Let's pick it up from the 2000 Olympics, or just prior to the 2000 Olympics, actually.
I guess, I think, this year, I guess you see, you see it as going off the rails. For me, I think if you look at my whole life and the perspective it's kind of was through, I think there was, decisions made on a daily basis that weren't always good decisions, from, the snowmobile accident to, just all the way through my childhood, like stabbing myself with the arrow when I was in third grade. Who would have ever thought that would have happened to a person? But it happened to me. And so for me in my life, I lived a lot of those crazy experiences, and I went through them. And, you look at your life in perspective, it's just one of those things you take. And then also to go through, the frostbite story, and then the financial stuff, people, it went off the rails. Well, I think as you go through life, you make decisions upon the situations that you're addressed. And so for me, like going, say, to the Olympics, I did my best. I competed, and I was successful. And then you look at it the year after I won the Worlds, and then 2 months later, I was just simply going snowmobiling. But I put myself in a situation where I left myself vulnerable, and the worst case scenarios happened. And so those are little setbacks. And then, 2003, I had, or 2004, I had a dislocated wrist, that type of stuff. And those were, it was caused one day in practice. And then I had a lady pull out in front of me on my Harley. I wrecked my bike. Those are just those huge impacts that, how can you prepare for? You don't plan for, you don't see it. And so I went through those little I went through those little setbacks. And then, like I retired in 2004, and I made some choices, to not do professional wrestling, but to, go in. I wanted to build a gym. I wanted to make a difference. And so I listened to some of my trusted people around me, and they're like, oh yeah, that's a great opportunity. And, of course you have the people that say yes, because sometimes down the road, they either get a financial kickback, from whatever they've done, but then you have people who deceive. And so the one guy that I talked to about, investing with his niece, that was a bad investment. And I trusted him. He was a person that I'd known for 15 years. Everything he had touched, everything he associated with was very successful. And he told me that this is going to be one of those successful opportunities. And so I didn't realize it wasn't. And, I think it comes down to being surrounded by, as a wrestler, you're surrounded by great coaches and great people. To be an Olympic champion, it didn't happen by chance. And so when I got in the real world and came out and, retired from wrestling, I started making these choices, and I tried to make the best decisions, that I had. And I trust people on their word, and, since then, there's just been, some huge ups and some crazy downs. But, since then I've surrounded myself. I have a great mentor, people that I can look up to, that I can, really be surrounded by. And I've really kind of gone back to the basics and, just surrounded myself with good people. If they're not good people, I don't want to have association with them, because at the end of the day, they're probably going to tear you down. And that's the last thing I ever want to have happen.
Right. One of the things about your story that's so compelling is that you're very much a optimistic person. I mean, you are someone who looks at it and goes, okay, fine, I can beat this. I can make it work. Have you always been an optimist?
Of course. From day one, being the youngest of 9 kids,
Yeah,
on the
that's
farm,
tough. Yeah,
you tell me how, you've got to be optimistic because, dude, you get the crap kicked out of you on the farm. And so what do?
right.
You come back after. You're going to be, you're going to be the person that fills the role. You're gonna just have to, you're gonna have to overcome these things. And so, for me, 100%, I look at it as this is my responsibility to myself to never quit on myself.
Mhm.
So, that's honestly, that's the way I looked at it. Is you can't just wonder, well, these factors, or why I succeeded. I think it's just something you're given on, the daily basis. With our farm, my family, when I was, basically 8 years old, my brother died of aplastic anemia. My family,
Uh-huh.
I saw the horror that we went through as a family. And, for me, it was devastating to see that. And then, how could I not be a good role model and a good son and do what I'm supposed to do to help the family succeed at farming? And that's just kind of the way we lived our lives as a family. We had to find a way to help the family farm succeed and survive, because
Right.
we were told that we were going to lose our farm and everything. And so my dad just said, I'm not here to to make your life easy. I'm here to succeed at farming. And it was a struggle, even a barn burning down and then losing my brother. My family had to kind of regroup and really set back and just refocus our energy. And I remember when milk prices, my mom and dad struggled. My mom went back to nursing school when she was 50, to
Mm-hmm.
get a career to help, supplement my dad's income, because we realized there just wasn't enough money in farming. And then when I basically graduated high school, my dad, sold the farm to my brother and, kind of gave him a really good deal. So,
Mm-hmm.
my dad, he didn't have the health like he did. And so, it was just a struggle all the way through. There was never a day it's like, oh, life is good, life is easy. On our family, life was tough every day. And so you just got used to it.
We'll be back with more of Stream On right after this. Hey, everybody. Now, I know that the over 50,000 people of you who listen weekly to Stream On love to consume content, whether it's Netflix you're watching on a connected device at home, or perhaps it's on your tablet or your phone. Maybe you're checking out some binge-worthy programming either on the train on your way to work, or maybe it's at lunchtime. Maybe you're checking the latest news highlights on CBSN on your phone. Look, you owe it to yourself to have a VPN. And I know you guys are out there going, well, there's a lot of good VPNs out there. I know. But let me tell you about the best. The best one is Proton VPN. Why? Because I want protection and Proton gives it to me. How can you say that? Well, let me just tell you why. Proton is based in Switzerland, home of some of the world's strongest privacy laws. It's an open source, independently audited operation that has a robust privacy policy now. Proton is funded by their community of users. That's right. There's no revenue from ad sales. And they live by their philosophy, which is of the people over profit. Okay. Not only is Proton VPN transparent and secure, but it's also fast, reliable, stable, and you can virtually connect to over 50 countries. All right. So again, security is the single most important part of what we have when it comes to protecting our identities and identity theft. Why would you not want to have something that's going to protect you like I have something that protects me? My protection, my bulletproof vest is Proton VPN. So, tell you what, we got a deal for you. If you click on the link in our show box, which says protonvpn.com/ my last name Williams, you're going to get 33% off a 2-year plan. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Now that's a heck of a deal, folks. And all you have to do is go to Proton, that's Proton VPN.com / my last name Williams, WILLIAMS, for 33% off a Proton VPN 2-year plan. Great deal. Highly recommend. You want security like I've got security? Then you want to be part of the Proton VPN family. And again, to get that 33% discount on a 2-year plan, you just go out to protonvpn.com / Williams. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it today. All the information in the show box below. Stream On continues. Was wrestling kind of a release for you?
It was, it really was. Well, all athletics was, is because you're living on the farm. You're like, this,
sure.
This kind of sucks. And so you're like, what can I do to get off the farm? Well, you can do wrestling, you can do football, you can do track, you can do all that.
And so what drew you to wrestling? I mean, that was the one thing that, as you said, you're a big guy. You've got good moves. You could have been potentially a football player, but you drew yourself to wrestling. What prompted that?
Well, as I actually went to school in Nebraska, I actually played spring ball the year after my basically my senior year of college. And so I got done with wrestling, and then spring ball started. I'm like, sure, that would be fun to try. So I went out and tried spring ball that year. And, I was playing at University of Nebraska. We had, all those great, we had like 5 All-American on the offensive line, and a lot of them were wrestlers and so on and so forth. And so I got the opportunity to mix it up with some of the best football players in the country who were all Nebraska, athletes. And so I did play football. But the thing about football is you kind of leave, your destiny up to somebody else. And in wrestling, I just had that, I'm short. You go nowadays, and these guys, football players, are 6'7". I'm 6'1", There's hard to get a place, or maybe defensive line, but they still want them to be 6'4" to 6'5" at least, because you have the reach to knock down balls. But I did play a little spring ball, but wrestling, it wasn't up to my teammates and myself. And I did shot and discus, but I was at state, and I shot John Godina throw the shot put 75 feet. I threw it 50. He's 1/3 better than me. He is a 2-time world champ and an Olympic silver or bronze medalist. So and he was a Wyoming boy. And so I realized, wrestling was kind of something I had. And, the more I looked in your eyes, the more you got down and dirty, the more that you thought you could beat me, the more I could really focus my energy. And a lot of people get in that physical combat, and they kind of lose their mind. When I got in that physical combat, I just really learned how to focus and, draw on my emotion to be the man, to figure out how to win.
Now, when did things happen for you on regards to the Olympic Channel coming and saying, you know what, we want to do your story. We want you to be able to tell your story.
I think, with the Olympic Channel being given the opportunity, you go through life, and I look at it, and I first, I looked at it and I thought, this is interesting. The opportunity to make a difference. And so I think, all the, the negatives that people could say, oh, look at this failure, look at that failure, because people think that, when you're a gold medalist, it's easy, it's natural, it's comfortable. And it wasn't. And that's one of the things we wanted to show. And then I'm a, coach here in Utah at Harriman High School. And so, this is my second year. I've just finished. We had 2 state champs this year. And, I have one of our kids thank you. One of our kids going to go to accelerated program his senior year. So he's going to kind of go out to Colorado, and it's kind of the program to set these guys up to be successful at the next level, Division I, and then hopefully someday the Olympics. And this kid was a state champ this year. He's just an amazing athlete. And then our other kid's going to go wrestle at a school down in southern Utah. So we're putting good kids out, and I love that. And, I talk about like my stories, and the kids look at me like I'm crazy. But then with this documentary, I can show it to them and be like, holy cow. And not just my kids at Harriman, kids across the country, around the world. People in Russia can watch this and be like, I thought as an Olympic wrestler, you had to be a champion at 5 years old. No, you become a champion through age. And if I'd lived in a lot of these other countries, they would have said, no, you can't try out. But living in America, you can do what you choose to do. And I think that's what's impressive is, I had people that believed in me. I believed in me, and I just said I'm going to keep going until I developed a skill, because I didn't wrestle Greco-Roman until after college. And I still had 2 more years of getting my education. And then once I did that, I'm like, okay, now what's this Greco-Roman? So basically 3 years, I went from being mediocre to not good to winning the Olympics. And it wasn't because it was easy. It was because I had learned all that stuff, that character, that discipline, all those things to get my mindset to that level. And I just had to develop the skill level to catch up with the mentality.
Well, I got to say, it's one heck of a documentary, and it's incredibly well done. And your ability to talk so freely about what happened makes it just one of the most compelling sports documentaries I've seen in quite a while.
What makes mine compelling, you said?
No. What I said was that to me, what makes it so compelling is your openness and you're willing to talk about everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, and I appreciate it, but, and it is nice to just think of, oh, look at all the glorious moments. But those hardships are the things that, like 1 month before the Olympic Games, I went to Russia. And I got thrown and pinned in 13 seconds because I thought I was the man, and I thought I was tough and cocky, and I got thrown in 13 seconds. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it brought me back to reality. It made me realize that, Rulon, what the heck are you doing? You have so much you got to do. You just got to keep improving. So those are things that make it, I think, where people should see it. And if you're looking at some, businessman, whatever, he may not connect, but hopefully the kids are at Harriman, a lot of these kids have never really had obstacles put in front of them. And then one day something happens and like, I don't know how to deal with this. Well, I remember, this is what Rulon did. Okay, well, he dealt with it this way. I can do it this way. I can learn from him. I can, see that and realize, that it may not be today, but eventually you'll succeed.
Absolutely. Rulon, how can we follow you on social media and check up on what's going on with you?
I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
I have a fan page. I do have people, you can write messages, and, I love to communicate with people. And, I'm one of the things I'm doing right now is I watched the documentary, and one of my concerns is my weight. And so,
right.
And that's my battle. I'm down 35 pounds in the last few months, and my goal is to get back to my Olympic weight. So I want to really push to get healthy again, because I can't work out with my kids. I'm too big. I had so many people. My sister's a cardiologist. She said, Rulon, you need to look at your health. You're rolling into 49 years old. You'll be 50 before you know it. And your body being that much overweight is not going to be able to sustain healthy life, diabetes. And I had my diabetes checked a few weeks ago, and they're like, you're not even pre-diabetic. Holy cow. The doctor was astonished, and she's like, you don't look good and since then I've really kind of honed in, and, I have a accountability team I use. It's awesome to have those people around to influence and support you and create a positive environment. And they're calling me, in between an interview today, I had a phone call from my buddy Daryl, and he introduced me with this coach who we're working on all the different components, but he introduced me to him, and, he calls me once a day, every day, how you doing? What do you need? What can I help you with? I'm like, just positive reinforcement, because it's easy when times are tough and, you're looking at losing everything you've ever built, and, being humiliated kind of in the public. It's tough. And it's easy just to kind of pull into a ball and go into the corner. And with me, I have an addiction to food. So it's just one of those things I need to just learn to deal with. And so I've really been dealing with that. Even in the documentary, my sister talks about, the concern that, that my family, we all have these, kind of addictive personalities where, one of my things is I cope with feelings and stuff is through food. It makes me feel comfortable when times are tough. Eat because it makes you feel full, it makes you feel satisfied. And, I think life should, be that way. And, it has at certain points, but then when things are down, it's like, well, what's the one good thing that makes you feel good? Is, candy or sugar, and that's one of my biggest enemies right now. And I gotta really be healthy and get on the healthy track.
Special thanks to Rulon Gardner, our guest today. Be sure to check out on the Olympic Channel, Rulon Gardner Won't Die. All the information on the show is in our show box below. We'll be back with more Upstream On after these messages.
At BMW, we know leaving the road wasn't easy, but anticipating our return taught us to appreciate every drive. The exhilaration of the ultimate adventure. Moments spent with your favorite co-pilots. And the freedom to explore just because. Our time to rejoin the road is finally here.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, if you're not yet one of the over 50,000 people worldwide who've taken the time to subscribe to our podcast, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, we make it very simple. It's free. You can find us in the Apple Podcast Store. You can find us at Google Play as well. You can also find us at Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, and, of course, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, just to name a few. Now, for some reason you can't find us, not a problem. Just pull out the old Google machine, type in Stream On with Jim Williams, hit the favorite button or subscribe button, and a brand new edition of the podcast will come directly to your phone, your tablet, or to both every week, okay? So please go out and do that. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you have an assistant device like any of the Apple devices, of course, Alexa or Google, all you have to do is say, hey, Alexa, please play the latest edition of Stream On with Jim Williams, and they'll do it for you. Okay, so very simple to do. Please go out there, subscribe today. All right, okay. Special thanks to Rulon Gardner for joining us today. Fantastic story, and I gotta tell you, highly recommend that you watch Gardner Won't Die. It's a fabulous documentary and something that I think the entire family would enjoy watching. So, Rulon Gardner Won't Die. All the information on the airing of that on the Olympic Channel is in our show box below. Well, thanks very much for joining us, and be safe out there. We shall return next week with another edition of Stream On with Jim Williams. Have a wonderful and safe weekend.